Hello and welcome everybody to Web and Beyond Live for June 28th, 2021. I'm Ray Sidney Smith. I'm president of W3 Consulting, managing director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable domains, WordPress hosting, web hosting, VPS hosting, and the like. We do Microsoft 365 licensing, all kinds of fun. And either way, Web and Beyond Live is my opportunity each week to come to you and talk to you about all the fun things we have going on in the world of small business digital marketing. And so today we're going to talk quite a bit about Google. We have some Google updates that I wanted to share with you, and then just a brief message about social ads and where you might best find success using social ads on different platforms. And then I want to spend some time talking about email signature marketing. And it's an interesting area and some of the thoughts I have behind whether or not you should do it at all. And so let's get into our stories this week. First and foremost, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Google has started the process of adopting partners in the WebP space. WebP is a new type of image format that they developed back in 2010, and slowly but surely different platforms have been adopting it. The biggest, of course, has recently been WordPress. WordPress in its next version will be supporting the WebP, so you're going to see a lot more images end in .webp, W-E-B-P. And so start to understand we're going to need to start porting images over to that once we upload them to websites and other places. And hopefully social media picks up here as well. This image format itself, WebP, can be much, much lighter. I'm talking a third to maybe 50% lighter, depending upon how well compressed it is when it's uploaded. Well, Google, in its ongoing quest to adopt WebP across all of its properties, has recently in the Google Merchant Center, which is where you put your shopping inventory, your inventory that you sell on your website and other places, is now adopting the WebP format. And so you can see here, WebP has been added as a supported image format inside the Merchant Center. This is going to be really good for you because as you put images into WebP format, Google will obviously be able to load and render those faster for people who are in Google Shopping. They go to Google, they type in, something that they want to buy, and your images will pop up first. And that's, of course, a good thing for you. So go ahead and start making the migration over to the WebP format. And there are different applications that can, of course, make that conversion for you, that image conversion for you. Next up is Google is going to start enforcing the delivery issues policy violation policy that they have, the violation policy that they have on their Google Merchant Center. So this is really important for those of you who are selling online. When your inventory says we have something in stock, and then you go from Google Shopping to the actual e-commerce site and the product is not in stock, that is a violation of Google's terms for Google Merchant Center. And starting in September, they will start enforcing that, meaning they will delist you if they start seeing that you are violating that policy over and over again. So inaccurate availability is a big no-no for Google. And so just make sure that you are keeping your policy consistent. And that just means checking with your e-commerce provider and your inventory system to make sure it's updating correctly to Google Merchant Center. Next up is Google Local Pack sections are showing new triggers based on search. And this is really interesting. So if you see this little GIF here, and for those of you who are listening after the fact, I'll describe this for you. But as you can see here, when you do a search on mobile now, you are going to start seeing that if you type in a business name and then you type in, say, photos, services, reviews, updates, or otherwise, the chips that are in the Google My Business listings that you fill out, they're going to show up now for the local pack as options across the screen underneath your name, your review star count, business type, category, and so on and so forth. Well, when someone does those searches, in this case, it says Falcon Boats photos, it's going to jump directly to the Falcon Boats photos chip, basically that section of the local pack. And if you click on updates, any updates you've posted to the website, to the Google My Business listing will then show up there as well. Services, you name it, are going to now show up. So this is really great because you can now optimize for people typing in your business name and updates. And as long as you are putting updates onto your Google listing, you will now start being able to drive people to those listings themselves before this not being necessarily an option for you. I really like this. I like the idea of us being able to, go to, say, Twitter or to someplace else and let people know, hey, just search W3 Consulting updates, and then you will find this on your phone directly in the Google listing, right? So it's a great way that you can direct people to a place without them having to have a URL, a link to be able to click on. So this is really great that you can now start doing that. And I can say to you, hey, go to our W3 Consulting, updates by going to W3, the number 3, W3 Consulting updates. And then if you're searching on your phone with Google, you will find our latest updates and be able to go ahead and access it there. So really good, verbal or audio focused calls to action can now be indicated by this local pack surfacing the sections within your Google My Business listing. All right, next up is that Google has gone ahead and started putting rush hours and some more company reports out there for you to be able to see more easily. Most importantly are these rush hours. So these normally are actually seen by people who are in Google Maps. When they go to a business listing, they can see when the most active hours are for the business. And what will happen is that you will see kind of, a graph chart, and the graph will show the bar chart as when the most busy times are at the business. So you might say at the restaurant, oh, well, we'll go at 8 p.m. as opposed to 9 p.m. because 9 p.m. is going to be busier than 8 p.m. at that restaurant. So you have some options in terms of choosing those things. Well, now you will start to be able to see these things in your own Google My Business Insights. Insights is the reporting function, the analytics reporting function within Google My Business. So if you go to business.google.com, log into your account, and then you will go to your listing, you will now see this information that was once only surfaced on the mobile device. So I love it. I think it's great. All kinds of good stuff. And then of course you're going to see more company reports. This one is showing what people are searching for when they are looking for your business, those that find your business. What are the things that people are searching? We're going to see more graphs and more company reports to show up inside of Google My Business under Insights. And I think this is really great for businesses because the more information we have, the better we're going to be at being able to determine why is it that people are coming to our business at particular times and in particular ways, and are they buying? And I think I just have a couple more Google stories before we talk about kind of the main story. Yeah, just a couple more items here, which is that Google is centralizing or has centralized all of their web-related policies. So they have this new document. I'll put a link to it in the video description and or the show notes for the podcast. And this is just great. They have all of the Google search content policies now in this one document. If you're looking for anything related to Google search in terms of policies, they're all here, and you can link to them from this place. So I'm just really, really happy that they've centralized the Google search content policies. And so if you ever are unaware, should I post this particular thing? Is this considered spam? Is this going to be a, considered exploitation, material? All of those kinds of things that, I get frequently as questions. This is a place now that you can actually go to and, it's a one-stop shop. And so now instead of sending I have 50 or 60 different links that I constantly send people to. I can now send them to just one link, and they can get answers to all of those questions in one place. And so can you. So that's just good to have as well there. Last in kind of the minor updates regarding Google this month is that Google Drive is going to be going through a shared link security update. And so starting this coming month, Google is going to be updating the security key associated with some shared links. This will break some links. It's very few. I mean, it should be very few links, but you have some control over that. If you go into the admin console, in essence, into the alerts center, so that's admin.google.com/AC/AC. So you go to admin.google.com/AC/AC. You'll be taken into your Google Workspace space, and you'll be able to then go ahead and determine whether or not this will actually break any of those links for your organization. So just make sure you go into the Alert Center, read the documentation, and make sure you know whether or not you want to allow old links to break before the security update goes into place, and then you can just determine to leave it that way forever. I've chosen to break the links, and if people, I have lots of presentations that I've given, and I share the decks afterward to those audiences, and so they're out there in the wild. If someone needs them, they can always, of course, just contact me, and I can give them access to it in some way, shape, or form. It shouldn't be a problem for that many people, but there are 3 phases, one starting in July, then in August, and then finally September will finish the rollout in terms of all of the configurations. But either way, the best thing for you to do is to go into your admin console, go to look at your Drive and Docs information, and set up your sharing settings so that you know that the security update, how it will affect your particular Drive links. And then last but not least is, as I titled today's show, Google is delaying the FLoC implementation, and they're delaying it by 2 years. And this makes a lot of sense. They've probably gotten a lot of pushback from a lot of their folks. Plus, it's a technical implementation that is going to require their browser, as well as all of the other browsers in the ecosystem, to really all get on board. And it just seems like people are not interested in a cookieless world yet in the commercial space. So I find this to be fascinating because Google was really trying to do something more secure than less. It's not completely secure, but it is more secure than it was in the past, or more private. Let's not say security, but more private than in the past. And so they went out there and they did this thing that I thought was actually really good for the community. We're working toward a more private web, and they got a lot of pushback. And so here we are with Google basically saying, well, we're going to delay it then. And in essence, what they said they're going to do is that their stage 1, which will be late 2022, they're going to start testing. Testing will basically finish, and they're going to basically launch an API within Chrome for the FLoC, the Federated Learning of Cohorts implementation, to start going into place. And then they'll start migrating all of the pieces for the advertising world at that time. And then stage 2 will start in mid 2023. Chrome will phase out third-party cookies. This is only third-party cookies, so not first-party cookies, third-party cookies, and that will be a 3-month period starting sometime mid 2023. So obviously, when that time comes, I'll be talking about it a lot so that we can make sure we're all getting prepared. I'll probably start 6 months before, so the top of 2023, you will hear me pounding on the desk for you to be able to go ahead and make these changes so that we can be ahead of the game, and that we are still collecting the data we can collect about our consumers, so that we are able to have good ad spend. But remember that the data that is being removed here in terms of third-party cookies is not particularly useful data when it comes to advertising. And I know that Google and Facebook and others don't want to let that cat out of the bag. But the reality is that the type of data that would be exposed by virtue of cookies is not particularly useful in the advertising space. You might think it's useful. Oh, I would love to know, the preferences of my audience and those kinds of things. But really, as long as we have geographic targeting, that is zip codes and or regional targeting, that's all we really need for really good advertising. And it's been borne out in statistic after statistic. All of the search and research studies show that really we just need to know generalities about the region of to which we're targeting, and then we're pretty much good to go. The idea that we know these specific technographics and psychographics of the people that we're targeting is not as effective as regional targeting. So I'm not particularly shaken by this concept. I am glad that we have a privacy on the web, and we'll see what happens as things come along. All right, let's move along to what is in essence my primary topic for today, which was the topic of email signatures. Oh, actually, I want to touch really quickly on this. I wanted to just show it because it came up in my research for the show this week. And what this is an article from Business Community, and they had they basically posited by virtue of the topic of the article, what social ad is best for your company. And they talk about the different ads that are most effective on each of the platforms for the types of businesses. So for B2B and B2C companies on Facebook, they identify video and carousel or image ads as being the most highly effective or efficacious ads on those platforms. So that's really great to know. Obviously, it's kind of, well understood that video is going to work well in terms of organic content, but this is a confirmation based on the research that video really works in terms of ads as well. And then, of course, carousel and image ads. This makes total sense to me. Image ads are well understood and well worn, advertising format. The carousel ads tell a story. So if you want to be able to show a transformation in your ads formats, carousels are the archetype that really make a lot of sense there. For Instagram, they talk about story ads, totally makes sense. There's a lot of eyeballs on stories, and stories ads are a really great way to, again, just like with carousel ads, show a transformation for your audience. And that transformation then is going to lead them toward a call to action they're really going to want. Shoppable posts. This makes much sense to me as well. Just navigating Instagram, I see those, those images, and they have the pin for a particular product, and I say, "Oh, I like that product," and then I click on it, and it takes me over to the e-commerce to be able to purchase. If it's an Instagram shop, then I'm taken directly to the purchase process, right directly inside of Instagram. So I can see why those are very, very, powerful ads within the Instagram ecosystem. Within Twitter, promoted tweets, I think that ends up being it makes sense because it's really easy to do. When you're in the application, it just gives you a button to be able to promote the tweet. You set a budget and a set of days. I wish we had a little bit more granularity and control over that, but it's very simple to do. So promoted tweets just allow you to be able to very quickly get that into users' news feeds, and and that way you can go ahead and target those you want to. You don't have as strong a targeting capability, but again, as long as you have some level of targeting, I think it's really good in that sense. And then, of course, video ads. So just like Facebook, Twitter's video advertising is showing to be highly effective on the platform. On LinkedIn, they talk about sponsored posts. In this case, this is working for B2B and B2C. And it says there's a slight edge for B2C, which continues my argument that I think a lot of people think because it's a professional networking a professional network, a professional social network, that LinkedIn somehow is not built for, B2C. But I think it's actually really well designed for B2C because the target audience are consumers. They are consumers as well, as much as they are, some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are business owners, but the vast majority of the people on LinkedIn are everyday consumers. They are also highly educated or more educated consumers than the average. So it's a really good target market for those B2C companies that give it energy. Sponsored posts and then in-mail messages. I know I get inundated by in-mail, so I was a little bit cautious about that item here, but it's obviously showing to have high open rates, 85%, and a click-through rate of 5%, which is really high in the industry standards for that kind of advertising. Then we come up with Pinterest, ending with Pinterest and Snapchat. And they didn't actually note here what the particular ad types were for Pinterest and Snapchat, but they just noted here that obviously B2C companies are doing well with Snap ads, and Pinterest was the progenitor of the shoppable post, the shoppable pins, that is. So I can see that the promoted pins and the shoppable pins, I think, are probably very, very powerful. They're noting here that promoted pins or sponsored version of any pin you create are good on the platform, but they didn't actually specify the actual advertising types. As I understand it, Pinterest also has a high bar for getting into ads, so also not the greatest platform for me. Snapchat Discover says it starts at $50,000 per day for Snapchat Discover. That's insane. So obviously those are for very big brands who have the budget for that kind of thing. But in Snap ads, you can run more, cost-effective advertising within Snap ads, just not inside of Snapchat Discover. So I just wanted to, point that out to you. You can check out the article and kind of review it if you are thinking about doing any level of advertising and seeing about that. All right. So I wanted to close out today with a little discussion on email signatures. And so this company, ByBrand, is that they're in the business of creating professional email signatures. So they're obviously pro creating email signatures. And there are several companies that do this. Some of them do them completely for free as a byproduct service of their other services, like Hubspot and others. I'll show you a couple options that you have if you do want to go down this road. Here, they give some reasons why you would want to create a professional email signature as an additional marketing channel. And they give the fact that you can put calls to action in here, you can put banner ads, and they show some examples of how you can do this. And you can see here that they have imagery of the business person, as well as contact information and this visual banner ad call to action in the email signature. They're saying that it's less invasive than direct promotional methods. They say that it can increase social because you put your social posts and social links in there. All kinds of good reasons, I think, for doing it. There are some reasons why I think I'm probably not as gung ho about doing email signatures in a marketing capacity, or at least in the way in which some of them are implemented. The reason for that is that most people implement email signatures pretty poorly. That is, they embed images, they put a lot of links and a lot of text in their signatures. I was very guilty of that about 10, maybe 15 years ago. I would, I mean, I had an email signature that was longer than most emails that I was writing, and I just filled it full of stuff, and just wasn't paying attention to the fact that people aren't going to be able to consume all of that content inside of the email signature. It could be off-putting, all kinds of other things. But the most important part is that most images are blocked by default by most email software today. You have to override that because of security provisioning in and on email platforms. So we have to be mindful of that, because the security and potential impact of your deliverability for your emails can be an issue here. So from my perspective, this whole notion of being able to display images, even when they're done correctly, and I'll show you a couple of companies that do it correctly, there is still an impact of seeing images load in email, and the fear, phishing emails and clicking on things and that kind of thing can really be off-putting to people today because of all of this fear around ransomware and other kinds of cybersecurity attacks. So just be aware that the vast majority of people will not see those images purely because they don't have the email load images at all. I know that I don't. It's a rare exception that I will load an email and then click display images only if the person references that they have embedded images in the email that are pertinent to me to read, because otherwise I don't want the additional risk. I just really don't want to have to click on the display image and for it to potentially render something that might be malicious. So just be aware of that component. But I, on the other hand, really like the notion of having an email signature present the brand well, and also have calls to action that are useful and fruitful for your intended audience. So if you are sending lots of emails to leads, and I see email signatures as being a place where, say, in your email marketing software providers emails, right, your EMSP, say you're using Constant Contact, MailerLite, Drip, MailChimp or otherwise, in those kinds of provider-based emails, images are regularly sent, and they are much more likely to be displayed when someone receives them. So certainly confirmation emails when someone signs up for your email newsletter. That's where I feel like your email signature can be really used as an additional marketing channel, because in that moment they are going to load the images, they are going to click on links, and they will feel comfortable clicking on those links in your email. So your email marketing can be elevated by virtue of putting links in the signature. So from that perspective, then you have the ability to maybe put a banner ad. I don't know if that should compete with the call to action for your confirmation email. If you're giving away a lead magnet or some kind of valuable downloadable asset from the email, you want to make sure they do that thing to lead them down the funnel. But that doesn't mean that you can't put an effective call to action secondarily in the email marketing signature. And like in our own email signature, we do put our blog, our podcast, our live stream, and so forth in the links very discreetly, so that if people do want to learn more about us and stay in touch, they can click on those links and take them there. But I can see in our email marketing side having a little bit more full-fledged of an email signature. That being the case, there are a couple of companies that do this well, in the sense that they don't shove your email marketing signature full of images that shouldn't be there. And those companies include signature.email. This one is really great if you have a team and you're trying to manage email signatures across a company. So you could do this just for yourself, but then you can pay a small fee to this company, and the email signatures can be managed from one centralized account. And so it's really, really helpful. I like signature.email for companies as they grow. They don't have to manage this. So if you have to change out a logo, if you have to, change a primary phone number or something like that, these things can all be managed from one centralized place. HubSpot also has one. So if you just type in HubSpot email generator, you'll be able to find this. You can create your own free one. You can choose a template, and it automatically updates. And then you can just embed your image, logo, those kinds of things, and just what you see is what you get, or WYSIWYG. Create your email signature. It's beautiful. It gives you a copy and paste, so you can copy that over to your email signature options within your email program, Outlook, Gmail, or otherwise, and you're good to go. And last but not least is Ystamp, which is they have a free version. Of course, you can upgrade to have a pro version and take out their branding within it. And they also do this really well, where you just input the information and then they pop out the design for you to be able to copy and paste into your email program. So we do have some companies who are doing this well and correctly. But again, keep that in mind, that it may not be as useful for you in your everyday email, more so than it will be in your email marketing and your email marketing messages that are going out, because those are where people will actually go ahead and click on those calls to action. So that brings us to the close of our time together. If you are interested in attending any of our events, we have upcoming webinars this month, as I think we're doing a how to launch your first online course. We're also going to be doing a webinar on getting around Google Drive for small business. So if you want to learn about Google Drive, if you head over to www.webandbeyond.community, you'll be able to join our community. It's free, and then you'll see the events for us. For each of those webinars. We have a monthly roundtable that's coming up, I think, on the 1st of July. It's usually the first Tuesdays of the month. We're going to be talking about time-saving software for small business. That's going to be a fun discussion, because I love software. And so feel free to join us there. But otherwise, let's go ahead and close out for this Monday. If you've enjoyed the live stream, feel free to hit the thumbs up icon. That helps us make new small business friends. And so thank you for doing that. Feel free to rate or review us in Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, or if your program for the podcast allows you to be able to rate us, that does also help us in that sense. And so thank you. If you have a question, leave a comment on the video. Feel free to tweet or message me at W3, the number 3, so at W3 Consulting on Twitter. I'm always available there. Join us every Monday, typically here at 11 a.m. Eastern, or sometimes a few minutes thereafter with troubleshooting with technology issues, but we're usually here on Mondays at 11 a.m. Thanks for spending this Web and Beyond live with me. I'm Ray Sidney Smith on behalf of W3 Consulting and W3C Web Services. Have a great week ahead, marketing your small business on the Web and Beyond.